this video, I want to talk about what it's like going from a 600 to a 1000. I've been on this bike now for about 1,000 miles. It's been about a month. And I want to talk about some of the most noticeable things you'll feel coming from a 600cc or smaller motorcycle. Now, I only have ever ridden sport bikes, so that's all I ever know. But I'll tell you, the CBR and the Yamaha R1 have very similar seating positions. So from a comfortable standpoint, they're very similar. I really do not notice a difference much at all. Now, I've already put an extra cushion seat on this bike just because the stock seat is like a piece of cardboard. As with most stock motorcycles, the CBR was the exact same way. I just kind of always put up with it. I never put anything extra on there. But for this bike, I felt like it would be a worthwhile investment. So the bottom line is, this motorcycle feels very similar to what I'm used to, but if you're coming from something not so aggressive, you may find that this motorcycle is very uncomfortable. And that's just one of the natures of this motorcycle specifically. It doesn't have anything to do with the 1000. In fact, this motorcycle only weighs stock maybe 9 pounds heavier than my 600. So weight ratio is ridiculous on these things. So on a side note, I made a really big mistake. I tore my bicep. I had a complete rupture of my bicep tendon from the elbow. And if you're listening to that, you may be wondering, why in the world are you riding a motorcycle? And that'd be a damn good question. And the only thing I can tell you is that I'm not the smartest individual you'll probably ever watch on YouTube, but I tore it doing deadlifts. I had a mixed grip. So if you're a gym goer and you like doing deadlifts and you use a mixed grip at all, consider this your warning that I did not have, or at least I did not listen to. I don't remember if I was ever told not to do this, but that mixed grip really got me in trouble, and now I'm looking at probably a 6-month rough recovery process to get back to where I'm taking a break from. So in the middle of my workout, I just felt a pop, a disconnect from my elbow, and instantly I knew it was fucked up. I looked at the bicep and it was sucked up into the arm a few inches. I don't know if you can tell right there, but it doesn't hurt at all. And I just had my MRI today, so I'll be trying to get the surgery scheduled as soon as possible. This happened 8 days ago. I know timing is important with these injuries, but there's only so much you can do. And truthfully, no one will ever look at your injury as important as you look at it. Alright, we're recording. So my left arm, again, is disconnected from the elbow. I'll just do what's necessary to get it healed up. Now, I could elect not to do surgery. And essentially what I've read online is that can come with, less overall strength in the long run. That arm will probably only ever get maybe 70%, but I don't know if that's true or not. I just know that visually the arm will never look the same again unless it gets reattached, and the reattachment process is something that needs to happen sooner rather than later. So for me, it's already been decided that I'm willing to go forth with surgery and spend time out of the gym and off the motorcycle. Once my arm is in a cast and being recovered, there probably will be no need or desire to be on this motorcycle for a little bit, which sucks. That means I've missed the last 2 riding seasons, so to speak. The Honda CBR, which should be getting picked up here really shortly, had an oil leak, and I was trying to diagnose where it was coming from, and it was pretty much out all last season, so I didn't even get to ride. And now that I just bought this baby, I tore my bicep, and I will not really get to enjoy it the way that I want to, which is fine. Everything happens for a reason, but this will probably be one of my last videos for a while until I recover. So I wanted to get this out there and really share my thoughts on this 1000, because if you're not on a 1000, you're missing out. Now, I'm not going to tell you that they're not dangerous. They are, but man, this thing... Everyone says that a 1000cc motorcycle is too much for the street, and I see where they're coming from, right? There is so much unusable power here, but there is so much of this bike that really is usable. And with technology these days, a lot of these motorcycles are very rider assisted. You can turn them down. You can customize these motorcycles to be what you need them to be. as long as you know your motorcycle. And that's the thing, is you have to spend time getting to know your bike. And if you don't know your bike, well, that's a recipe for disaster. So honestly, the best thing about this motorcycle that I did not have before is the quick shifter. I mean, that's amazing. Which is really helpful considering that, again, my left arm is kind of unusable at this point. So I love having a quick shifter. It's pretty clutch. No pun intended. Gosh, those downshifts sound so good. So another really important point if you are considering a 1000cc motorcycle is going to be the gas consumption. Now, I'll share my thoughts on this. I have a gas gauge on the Honda CBR, so it's very easy to keep track of where things are at. On this bike, on the other hand, there is no gas gauge, and I think I'm averaging maybe 115 miles per tank. But the truth is that I have not noticed the gas consumption issue on this, but keep in mind, I also have not ridden my motorcycle in about 12 months. So I'm not really too in tune with the gas guzzling there. Not too in tune with the gas consumption that was going on, but I'll tell you, I don't really feel like I'm filling up more often than not on this thing. I mean, I know it's got more displacement and it's going to suck down more gas, but it's all about how you ride these things. You know, if you ride these bikes hard, you're going to be at a gas station way sooner. But gas consumption for me really has not been an issue. Again, it's still premium gas, whether you're on a 1000 or a 600, you're just going to go through it a little bit quicker. So I'll actually have to do a test on that. I'm curious to see how many miles my CBR gets to a tank and then how many miles this will get to a tank. So we'll put that video together here in a little bit, as soon as I possibly can, really. So a really important point, if you are considering one of these motorcycles, and something that I've noticed over the last month of riding, is that these things are effectively felony machines. I mean, there isn't much you can do that isn't breaking the law. Now, the beautiful thing about a 1000cc motorcycle is if you know what you're doing, you only get tickets if you stop and you want them. Now, I'm not condoning running from the police. Get pulled over by the wrong cop, you know, they'll put you in jail just for speed alone. There's so many things that you can do on these motorcycles that is just a risk, and you know, that's the nature of the beast. I think that's what attracts so many of us to this, is that when we're on these motorcycles that inherently feel safe, but we know that there are so many risks that are just looming, right? There's so many things that we can't necessarily predict or see that are there. So being on one of these motorcycles is inevitably going to have a run-in with the police. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. When it comes time to be getting pulled over, you're always better off taking that ticket than risking your life. That being said, if you have the experience on these motorcycles, it is not a challenge to get away from somebody. I believe even the BMW motorcycles that these police officers have around here only go up to 140 miles an hour. And they got a lot more to lose than most sport bike riders. So there's definitely some consideration there. But in general, I haven't really noticed much of a difference coming from a 600cc motorcycle. I mean, these bikes, they all feel crazy. They all feel powerful, and no matter what you're on, you're going to enjoy it. But if you have a dream bike, that is definitely a consideration. I would recommend you get what you want, but being on two wheels is all you need, baby. Being out in the country, there's nothing like it. One day I'd like to own a home out here. So with the Yamaha R1 specifically, style-wise, it's actually very similar to the R6. So you will not notice a massive difference stylistically from one motorcycle to the next, but you know, all the brands have different preferences and different looks, so you really just got to end up with something that you enjoy. But bottom line is I love the way this bike looks. You know, style-wise, both the CBR and the R1 have sharp lines, but the CBR is a 2005. I mean, goodness gracious, that's literally almost 20 years old next year. And that to me is just, that's insane. The bike looks timeless. But what's going to end up happening, hopefully, is I'll get an antique plate for that vehicle. So that's something to look forward to. But man, there's really just nothing like being on two wheels, I'll tell you what. So much that can go wrong, but the power is incredible. And this is in mode V, so I've got it tuned down right now in setting 2 for power. So I've spent about 1,000 miles on this motorcycle, as I've mentioned, and this has a custom exhaust on it from China. It's supposed to be a SC or an Austin's Racing style exhaust, but for much cheaper. And the previous owner had installed it, and I'll say that it's the loudest exhaust I think I've ever had on my bikes and bikes that I've been near. And it's just, it's deafening. It's actually so loud that I wear earplugs now when I ride, and that's not something I've ever used to do. But I do think that it's a good idea. I mean, we ride these motorcycles, our main goal is to make it to the next ride. Well, there are some other secondary goals, and that is not lose your hearing. And don't take it for granted how damaging wind can actually be. Not everyone has the most soundproof helmet. Some of them have more wind noise than others, but you have to be very careful of things like that, because ultimately your hearing is going to go as the older you get, just naturally. Something like riding a sport bike is only going to make that situation potentially faster or worse for you. So I think earplugs are an awesome idea on a motorcycle. However, if your bike's not loud enough, it may not seem necessary. So with the Honda CBR, I never used earplugs for the first 10 years of riding. And now with this bike, I feel like it's a necessity. I just don't want to end up with ringing ears, tinnitus, if that's even how it's pronounced. So sometimes shifting up with the quick shifter from first to second slips me into neutral, and that is just, all you sport bike riders out there, you know what I'm talking about. When you hit neutral and you thought you were in second, oh man, that is just the most cringe thing you could probably do. But yeah, that's riding a sport bike. With a sport bike, you have to be willing to let shit go pretty easily. People cutting you off, you making mistakes, don't hold any of it to yourself or against somebody else. It's just, none of that shit's worth it. The only thing that really matters is, again, you getting home safely. So we need to make decisions that are in line with that, but as you know, on a sport bike, it's much easier said than done. So we've talked about a few things: the comfort, the style, the power, the fuel consumption. Let me know if I'm missing anything else in terms of how a 1000cc can differ from a 600, but in terms of, again, leaning into corners, the bike feels just as solid as the other one, a CBR. So, in the grand scheme of things, there are not a lot of major differences other than the actual engine. This cross-plane engine is intoxicating. I actually did not expect to like it as much, but it genuinely is just an amazing sounding vehicle, and I just, you know, I love it. Can't get enough of it. Back to the exhaust, this bike shoots flames, and from what I've been reading online, that's not always a good thing. So I'm really considering a tune for the motorcycle. If you have one that you recommend, let me know. I've heard good things about Bren tuning, but I'd also like some personal recommendations for those of you who also have the same bike with a tune. But I feel like a tune would really waken this bike up. I mean, I believe Bren tuning adds, what, 50 horsepower to the motorcycle, which is absurd. The thing is already disgusting. for any amount of time and you're considering a jump from a 600 to 1000, you know, I always told myself, oh, 600 is plenty, you don't need any more power than that. Well, the truth is you do need more power than that. It's so good. But the point of this is, if you feel comfortable with throttle control, you're ready for this bike. If you're the type of person that says, oh, I can't control myself, or I'll get killed on one of those things, then don't get this motorcycle, because you're probably damn right. I mean, it genuinely is the most disgusting thing I've ever rode. The thing is, these motorcycles are actually terrifying, and I believe that if you don't have a motorcycle that scares you a little bit, you've chosen the wrong bike. Now, if you're just doing some low speed stuff, and you're just, you know, messing around, that's a little different, but if you're going to be a road rider, I feel like you need a bike with enough power that kind of scares you a little bit. It's a checks and balances thing. You always need to have a reminder of what can go wrong and why. And these bikes command respect. If you don't respect the machine that you're on, you'll inevitably get disrespected by the machine itself. And it's really not disrespect at that point, it's par for the course. Yes, this motorcycle is absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait to take it to a track day, but I don't know when that would be. I would more than likely use the 600 on track before I do this bike. Let's go ahead and take this right. Yeah, buddy! The smarter you are, the scarier these are. So the bottom line, if you're not deterred by more fuel consumption and disgusting amounts of power, then 1000 cc's got your name on it. But I do believe that you should be ready for that. You should have excellent throttle control. You should understand how motorcycles work. You should know the physics behind it, what's possible, what's not possible. All of these things will be very helpful for the safety of you riding a more powerful motorcycle. Watch this person pull out in front of me. They were looking, thinking. But the best riders are as proactive as they possibly can be. These motorcycles beg for your full attention when you're on them. Without it, again, there's just too much risk. You don't even feel like you're going fast on these bikes. That's the problem. So I put these ASV levers on. I don't know if you, I'm sure you can see it. I elected for both sides to be the shorty levers, and I just blacked them out. They came silver, and well, personally I love them. I think that a little mod like that can help personalize a motorcycle. Since I bought this bike used, it already had 3,600 miles on it, and the exhaust was already put onto it, the fender eliminator was already done to it, so there really wasn't, from a mod perspective, anything else that I wanted to do other than the levers. I just, relatively simple. As long as the bike can be heard and I'm comfortable on it, then we're golden. And as I mentioned, I did put an extra seat on here, or not an extra seat, but a more comfortable seat just for my butt. Sounds crazy. I don't know why. Fun fact, I've been pulled over right here. 2 motorcycle cops just sitting here and speed trapping, and I got up to 51 miles an hour turning from this stop sign coming up this way. And, yep, got myself a nice little ticket. I actually just recently got a ticket in the car. got it dismissed, thankfully. It was not something I was looking forward to having show up on my license for points, but it's just the nature of the beast. Gonna get some tickets. Pop a little turn, go back this way. Here, baby. Look at that. Damn. I'm not trying to get run over, but that is a view right there. Damn. Got headphones or earplugs in, but that shakes my chest, man. Holy crap. Let's get out of here. Let's get the flip out of here. I appreciate you guys watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate a like on the video. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let me know what I can do better. I mean, if there's certain things you guys want to know about, hear about, or talk about, drop a comment, let me know down below. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I'd like some feedback on the mic quality. How does it sound? Does it sound acceptable? Is there room for improvement? You know, if you guys are going to spend time watching my video, I would at least like to cater to you, you know, do things that make it easier for you guys to watch, or easier to see things. But yeah, I appreciate all of you. Thanks again, and I'll be back as soon as I possibly can.